if your 10-year-old self could look in the future and look at you, would you be proud? And if you're not proud, then you need to make some adjustments and change to do that. So that's what I would say.
Scot Poore, welcome to the Executive Dad Podcast.
Thanks, Nick. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. We have been longtime friends. We originally met at Factory Shoals Elementary School. So it has been a journey that we've been on together in and out of each other's lives. I'm excited to go down this road of being an executive dad with you. I know you're an awesome dad, one that I've looked up to. You started earlier than me, so I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, awesome.
So real quick, give the audience an introduction to you as a professional, as an executive. Kind of share with us, what is your role? What do you do? What does that look like?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm a dad of a family of four. So I've been married to my beautiful wife for a little over 12 years now, and a dad of a 8-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl. So, and as far as my career goes, I out of high school I joined the Marine Corps. Did that for several years. Then I went to college after that. And by trade I'm a electrical engineer. So I've been doing that for about 20 years. But over the last 5 years I've been in real estate. So I've been running my own real estate investment company for 5 years. So flipping a lot of houses, accumulating some rentals. So I've been doing that. So that's kind of my background.
Yeah, for sure. So went to the Marine Corps. You were a helicopter mechanic. Is that right?
Yep. Aviation electrician on Cobras and Hueys. Served overseas. So that was a great experience. It's something I'll always look back on, and something I'm glad it did.
Yeah, for sure. You were into the Marine Corps operating world before I was. What is a leadership lesson you took from the Marine Corps that you've now carried on as a professional or as a dad?
I would say probably number one would be lead by example. I rose through the ranks pretty early as an enlisted guy, and just being younger, but also just lead by example and being physically fit and doing all the right things and just things like that. So
yeah, for sure. I know you said you listened to the first episode. That was my first leadership principle, was leadership by example, something that's ingrained in every Marine. So I'm excited that you highlighted that. So you've got 2 kids, Nicholas, who I'm partial to the name, beautiful name you chose,
yep.
8 years old, and Elizabeth, 5. First question before we get into our leadership principles, how do you find balance? Obviously, you've got a lot going on. You've got a beautiful partner in Jamie. You've got 2 kids that are very active. You've got the real estate thing going. How are you able to balance all of that stuff or find success across the board?
Right. I think the quick answer is there's not really, like, I would say, quote unquote balance. There's not really such a thing. I think you have to pick times that you're focused on your family. You have to make priorities. Whether it be your fitness or your family, and just carve out certain times of the week or the day to do that thing. Then you kind of everything else falls behind those things. And sometimes it's not always clean. Like you might be working late. Sometimes you might not go to a kid's birthday or baseball practice or a sporting practice. Jamie might have to take responsibility of the kids at night sometimes. Maybe lose a little bit of sleep here and there, but right. just making the family and some other things a priority is really important. So just kind of the quick answer is there's not really any balance. You kind of have to figure it out of what's important to you. Then everything else will fall behind.
Yeah, I appreciate that you shared. That's kind of why I caught myself. Is there's not really any such thing as balance, right? It's establishing those priorities and ebbing and flowing, having that flexibility to be focused in one area or another. I know I've talked previously about when you're actually home with the kids are a priority, Jamie's the priority, actually allowing your actions to show that, right? And being present with the family. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yep.
So my second question, last one, I promise, before we get to the leadership principles, Scott, what's one area that you have grown since you had the kids based on what they've been teaching you?
Oh, I would definitely say they've helped me understand empathy. Being more sensitive to things. Growing up in the Marine Corps and things, and also having kind of a more of a hardcore dad. Just being able to empathize with kids, and you have to have a different tone and relationship with your kids than you do in other parts of your life, and with other adults and things like that. So you have to kind of understand where they're coming from, and not get too angry with the things that are going on, and something that you might not understand as an adult. You have to kind of empathize with what's going on in their head.
Yeah. I appreciate that sentiment of empathy. And I also recognize the hardcore nature of your father. I think we've had multiple run ins throughout the years.
Yeah.
But how does that show up for you professionally? So, are you able to carry that empathy, that area of growth from being an awesome dad that you are into your career? And what does that look like?
I think so. I think it helps you kind of have more empathy and have more tact sometimes. And something I've heard on like the Jocko podcast from time to time. You kind of have to detach yourself from certain situations, and just have a different perspective of different things going on.
Right.
Whether a kid might spill their Kool-Aid on the couch, or chocolate milk or something like that. Some that you might normally make you mad, or something they're having. They're really frustrated. They can't tie their shoes or something. You kind of have to. You don't want to be like, just get it together. What are you doing? Like, you kind of have to detach yourself. And same thing with real estate or business. You kind of have to detach yourself from such situations. You can't be, take things personally all the time, and you have to figure out the best way to do things and not let your emotions get the best of you.
Yeah, one of the things we teach in Sherpa executive coaching is separating the person from the problem. Whether it's, hey, we got to solve this problem, Kool-Aid just got spilt, or we got to solve this problem, some contractor just installed the floors wrong, right? You've got to detach yourself from the personal issue and just attack the problem and find a solution. So that's great. Okay, Scott, let's get to your 3 leadership principles. Number 1, what do you got?
Number 1 is be prepared. And what I mean by that is be prepared physically, then also mentally. And I think that's important. One to lead by example. Try to be fit, exercise properly, eat right, and just show up for your family as best as you can. And I think the same thing goes in the business world, especially in sales. In my position, whether running a business or being sales in the corporate world, how you show up and how you carry yourself really carries a lot of weight, because you have different customers and employees looking at you, and if you're kind of a slob, I think it rubs off. And I'm dealing with other investors investing money into me, and if I show up a certain way, they might not be able to trust me all the way. If it looks like I have my stuff together, at least on the exterior, it's a pretty good chance that I can follow through what I'm doing in business. And also, I think obviously helps to being physically fit helps. When you're playing with kids at night, having energy to do that.
Yep.
Even nowadays, I think I'm a pretty fit individual. Like, I'm tired sometimes. Like, I don't want to get in the floor and wrestle with my son, but I can't imagine somebody that not very fit. They probably just don't want to do it at all. So I think it's really important to have the energy to do that, and run sprints for your son, play basketball or whatever. But then also it just helps with like long term life. You want to be fit as you get older and be able to be there with your family. I think that's just as important. So being a father doesn't stop when your kids graduate high school. I think it's important to be there for them as they get older, and you get older, and you just try to be as physically fit as you can.
Yeah, obviously that resonates with me with the background in health, wellness, both physically and mentally. Um, People talk about being present, and like you shared, your son wants to wrestle. I know your daughter is super active, gymnastics and all these things, and like she's working out in the basement with you. I can't imagine being a dad and also a leader in business, and you're spending more time thinking about I'm out of breath, my body hurts,
Right.
like all these ailments that goes on. One of my favorite quotes is a man with his health has 1,000 dreams, a man without has but one. And I can't imagine being a dad without my health, without taking that initiative to prioritize, not lifespan only, but health span. Like you said, when the kids are 18, they fly the coop. You're not done being a dad. You're not done being a partner. You're not done being a leader.
Right.
How are you extending that health span through your daily wellness habits? And I've got a question on habits here later that I think will tie into this. But being prepared, showing up, what can I control? And I know you prioritize your physical health, your mental health, taking care of yourself, your family every single day. And I think it's easy in leadership to ignore, like, oh, we don't think about showing up, looking physically well, conducting yourself mentally well, but it just sets the tone before anything else of who you are and what you're going to be able to do.
Right. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, being physically fit is important, but also being mentally ready to attack your business or your job just as important, and being there for your family and being present is super important. Running a business, you're stressed. You could be stressed a lot of times. So I think it's really important to try to detach yourself when you're with your family and be present, and just being mentally, prepared and ready for that. It just means a lot. So I think it helps if you can take a break in between like your workday and your family life.
Yep.
It could be a small walk. Could be taking a cold plunge. Working out. I usually work out in the mornings, but if you like to work out in the afternoons, that works as well. But I think that's a good habit to do. Especially nowadays, ever since COVID, and a lot of people are working from home. There's not a big separation. Before
Right.
you might have a 30-minute commute. You can kind of detach, listen to a radio, go to your family. But now I think it's important to have a little bit of time for yourself and kind of just take that break. That way you're ready for the chaos that comes when you have little kids at the house.
The chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good point of, previously a lot of leaders, executives, dads had that time to decompress from the workday. They had that transition period
Right.
of the commute with radio, podcast, music, whatever. Now it's like, oh, as soon as I walk out of that door, I'm in the chaos, and there's no
Exactly.
time for that transition. So how are you taking, whether it's 10 deep breaths, I have a kettlebell and like some push-up bars in the office that I hit throughout the day just to like break up the day. But like, what are you doing throughout the day to set you up for success for the hopefully controlled chaos that you're walking into at home? That's great.
Right.
Scott, let's go to number 2.
Number 2, I would say number 2 would be creating purpose. I think it's important to have your kids help around the house as much as possible. Get them involved. With taking out the trash. Doing the dishes. Also helping you cook dinner. Making them come up with dinner ideas. It might be peanut butter jelly or pizza or whatever, but at least you're trying to install some leadership traits into them, and I think that's super important to do that instead of them playing with their toys or watching TV or the iPad all the time. Just getting them more involved and making them have responsibility. I think that's super important.
Yeah. How does that show up professionally with regards to purpose? I know you work with a lot of different people in the real estate. You've obviously worked with a wide array of roles and responsibility in your engineering life. What does that look like? How do you give purpose to your teams in your current roles?
Yeah, I think that's just a lot of people a lot of employees and people that I work with kind of have their own thing and they know what they're doing. But some other folks, you want to praise them a lot. Tell them that you're appreciative of different things they're doing. Then also, you know, bounce different ideas from them. You know, put them in leadership positions and positions of authority where they can shape the business and ask them for advice, kind of empower them to do different things. I think that's really important. Maybe not for every employee, because some employees are just happy doing what they're doing and go throughout the day. But I think some key employees and also team members, it's important to empower them and give them more responsibility.
Yeah, letting them have ownership of what they're doing, right?
Yep.
Explaining that why, giving them the purpose behind maybe some of the decisions that you're making. Like, hey, I want to do things this way. What are your thoughts? What's that feedback? Including them in the process. And I think the example you shared with dinner and chores and those types of things, Danny, the last episode 3, I believe, he also shared some things like that and how you could do that. So I think that's powerful. What's the last dinner that the kids recommended? What does Nicholas recommend?
Oh, I think it was breakfast, which I'm okay with.
Breakfast, B for D?
Yeah, that's
Breakfast
right.
for dinner?
That's right. Some eggs. I'm like, that's easy. So,
Yeah, I love that. Breakfast for dinner. It's a unused, untapped, beautiful dinner, I think, in a lot of households.
exactly.
All right, Scott, number 3, final leadership principle. What do you got?
Final one is have a plan. You know, have goals for your family. Take initiative. What I mean by that is, just don't go through life throwing your kids at different sports and kind of being hands off. I like to be intentional and just to I try to want to make them as well rounded as possible. So, playing different sports, doing outdoor stuff, camping, hiking, fishing, maybe a little hunting here and there. Just creating different experiences for them. And I think that's really important and something that's probably missing in a lot of households. I think a lot of times they might throw their kid in baseball year round, and it's like I think you're selling them a little bit short.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, and also like in the business world, like having a plan of where your business is going, having goals, having short-term goals and long-term goals is really important. So if you don't know where you're going, then you kind of spin your wheels, so to say.
Yeah, one of the things I tell the people I work with, both executive coaching and the business coaching with Loud Rumor, is, if you don't have goals, if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there.
Nope.
Right. And I think that is something I've thought about bringing to the executive dad is that strategic planning. Like what do you want your family life? What do you want your family to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? Like, what are the kids doing? What are you doing? Obviously they're going to have input at different ages and we can be flexible, but instead of just going with whatever everyone else is doing and just following the norms, like actually plan out and build a life of intention, like you said, that works for you. What does that look like on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis for your family? How are you establishing the intention behind what you're doing? Are you guys sitting down and planning, or is it just, we're figuring it out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we try to plan trips at the end of the beginning of the year or end of the year, probably December. Jamie and I will sit down, kind of go through our goals, things that we want to do, kind of create some budgets here and there.
Yep.
We probably should do more short-term stuff, but I think a lot of people they might see my Instagram or social media of like going hiking and stuff like that, and like, man, we should do that as a family, and things like that. And most of the time, I try to plan them, a month in advance or something like that. Like, hey,
Yep.
let's go hiking or go on a camping trip. 'Cause, I mean, I think you have to, otherwise, just life just gets away from you.
Absolutely.
I mean, every once in a while, I might wake up on a Saturday and we'll do something adventurous, but a lot of times it's planned, just because
Right.
life's so busy and you have to. Otherwise, it'll just never happen. So.
Yeah, I love that intention. Excuse me. I'm a big fan of Jesse Itzler, and he's got the big ass calendar club that I've got on the wall over here. And literally, you can look at the full year in one snapshot. And we've got up there, camping trip this month, camping trip next month. We're going to see my parents, concerts, like all the things, birthdays, and you can kind of plan out. So I love that you are planning that to be intentional because you're right. That natural inertia, you wake up on a Saturday, it's like, it's easy just to, I guess we'll just stay around the house.
Yep.
And lo and behold, like you just wasted a day.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Scott, I love this framework. You've got the 3 Ps. We're going to be prepared. We're going to have a purpose, and we're going to plan. So I expect
that was not
the book,
additional.
the Scot Poore 3 Ps coming out soon. Find it on
That's right.
the show notes here. Prepared, purpose, and planning. That's great. Okay. Moving on to our final 3 questions. If you've listened to previous episodes, you might know what they are. Number 1, you've got the ability to send every executive dad a text message that they're going to read. What is your message to the executive dads of the world?
I would say if you could look, or if your 10-year-old self could look in the future and look at you, would you be proud? And if you're not proud, then you need to make some adjustments and change to do that. So that's what I would say.
So if your 10-year-old self could look at you now, would they be proud?
Yeah.
And if not, make some adjustments.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
So your 10-year-old self, Scott, who I knew in 5th grade, if he looked at you now, what would he be proud of? What would he be most proud of?
Oh, he would be most proud of me being a father, and just raising my 2 kids and me as a husband. I think so. I think he would be proud of with my career successes so far, but I think most of all just being a family man. I think he would be proud. So
Yeah. There may be a little disappointment that he's not a professional baseball or basketball player, but
maybe
definitely.
I think when I was 10, I wanted to be an architect or something, but I don't know. Electrical engineer is not too far off.
Yeah, pretty close. So he would be definitely proud. Awesome. All right, Scott, our second question in this final series of questions. What is one habit or mindset that has had the most impact on your ability to be a leader both at home and as a professional?
I would say, as you're building a business and running a business, it can be stressful at times. So I think the ability to detach yourself and kind of reduce that stress and kind of separate it from your business life to your family life is probably the biggest impact. And just be able to handle that. Some kind of tips is just like writing stuff down of why you're stressed and different things you can do. Kind of talking through it with yourself, or a mentor or two or a coach. Kind of helps a lot. So I think it's probably that's probably it. Just be able to separate what's going on in your business life and your corporate life between your family. So
Yeah. And is that a practice that you have? Is it journaling? Is it your workout that helps you de-stress? What does that actually look like in practice to help you with that separation?
yeah, I think journaling helps. Then also, I don't do a whole lot of meditation every once in a while, but I think I do CrossFit, and when you're in a CrossFit type workout, it's some form of meditation. I think because you're kind of in like a flow state. You're not really thinking about anything
Yeah.
else, but picking up the barbell for the next rep or something. I think that helps a lot. Kind of helps you clear your mind. So that's a good habit. So journaling and also doing some hard workouts every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure. I know when you're pushing hard, whether it's on the assault bike or with some heavy weight, it's hard to think about the stress
Right.
elsewhere when you
You're
can't breathe.
thinking, there's 2 more minutes left to this workout. But yeah, it's yeah.
For sure. All right, Scott, one of my favorite parts of the podcast, I've got a notebook here, the Executive Dad notebook, where every guest gets to leave a question for the next guest on the show. And Mr. Danny Frazier left you this question. He was like, I wouldn't want to answer this, but it's going to be a good one for the next person. So let me open the notebook here. The question from Danny: what is your biggest professional mistake and what did you learn from it? Biggest professional mistake and what did you learn from it?
Hmm.
And
Probably
I'll give
trusting,
you. Oh,
probably
go ahead.
trusting others uh, more than I should. Not verifying. Um,
Mm,
is that me personally? I'm more of a visionary, and I like to kind of delegate as much as I can. So I think
yep.
it's probably the biggest mistake I've delegated probably too early, not be hands
Okay.
off enough. Because I'd rather other people do things. I expect um, you know people to do things the right way, but a lot of times you have to micromanage more than you need to. So that's probably
Yeah.
my biggest mistake.
Yeah. I love it. Two phrases pop up to me when you say that. Inspect what you expect, which I took away from the Marine Corps. Right, we always
Right.
inspect our expectations, and then trust but verify. Like you said, hey, I'm going to trust you're going to work hard, but I am also going to verify you're going to work hard and you're going to get things done.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's great, Scott. Don't jump off the call. I'm going to get your question for the lucky next contestant on the Executive Dad podcast. But it's been awesome to have you on the show. I know we've been friends for what seems like almost 40 years now, even though we're just 40. But I love to be prepared, to have a purpose, and to have a plan. Three great leadership lessons that transcend both at home and into the workplace. Is there anything or anywhere people can follow you to get more insights from Scott Poore?
Um, yeah, I'm on Instagram as Scot Poore, just ScotPoore. And Facebook you can just search Scot Poore. I'm on there. So those are
Got it.
the main socials.
Yeah, and we will link Scott's Instagram, Facebook in the show notes. We appreciate you guys listening. Please, wherever you're watching this, leave us a comment, leave us a 5-star review, and we'll see you on the next episode. Scott, I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure.